Hi everyone, welcome to AP Bio and welcome to Back to School Night. My name is Noelle Vasquez and I have the absolute pleasure of teaching your daughters this year in AP Bio. So it has been a great start of the year. Of course, I definitely am, and I know your girls are just so happy and grateful to be back at school. We've definitely made the most of our time together, and your daughters are so sweet. They have a great attitude. They've been working together well. They've been engaged. We have our first test coming up next week. And I know they're a little bit nervous for that, but they've been doing some great work in class. And I couldn't have asked for a better start to the year with these group of girls. So thank you first and foremost for sending them back to school. I know it's been a crazy start to the year. But I wanted to talk a few things about a little bit overall with the course. I know we are supposed to keep this, no more than 5 minutes. I've already did a few run-throughs and they were close to 10 minutes, so I had to really cut down on what I wanted to say. But beyond this video, I hope that you will, periodically check our class website. I'm going to try to post student work every so from there so you can see what some of your daughters are doing. And I look forward to hopefully the day that I get to see you guys in person and we get to have one-on-one conversations. I am always available over email if you have any questions or if you just want to check in and see how your daughter is. But first, what I'll start with is just a little bit of an overview of AP Bio. Anyone who's familiar with the course or maybe who has even taken it before, you may have heard, or you may have heard of the reputation of AP Bio as being a very content-heavy course, and it used to be. I know when I took AP Biology, you pretty much had to memorize the textbook in order to get a 4 or 5 on the AP exam. You had to know all the steps of the Krebs cycle, you had to know the parts of the cell, you had to be able to describe in detail the different body systems, how DNA is transcribed and translated, so much information. And what research has found in recent years is that these students, these really bright students who are taking AP Biology and doing really well and getting 5s, they were going to college and they were able to spit out information and study, the content, but they were really lacking in skills like critical thinking and thinking independently and being able to analyze data and being able to create models and synthesize information, experimental design. These skills were really lacking. And College Board, the creator of the AP, they re-looked very closely at this test and they realized that they were doing a disservice to some of their smartest students who were enrolled in AP Biology because they were focusing really only on the content and not so much on the skills. And anyone who's really gone beyond college and the workforce, we all know that skills is what really prepares you for life after school. Being able to think on your own 2 feet, being able to ask questions, being confident, being able to look at pictures and graphs and charts that you may have never seen before, but being able to apply what you've learned and still be able to pick things apart and be confident enough in yourself that you can draw conclusions and analyze the data, the evidence. And so they revamped this entire course a few years ago. And this course is now focused more on skills and a little bit less on content. And I mention that to you all because, not just for background information, but I mention that to you because I do find that students, when they begin AP Biology, they're in for a little bit of a rude awakening because they're not used to as much this way of thinking, this way of learning. They're kind of used to being told, okay, this is what you're studying, this is the topic, we're going to go over the topic, you have to study it, make sure you memorize it, being able to answer a question about it, and you're usually pretty good if you're studious and you study well. AP Biology goes beyond that. So for example, it's not enough to just know the parts of a cell, right? The structures inside called organelles. It's not enough to just memorize what the different structures are and their functions. AP Biology is going to assume that you know that already. They're instead going to give you a scenario. They're going to say, here's this disease, and this disease, is caused by miscommunication in the cell, where for some reason the waste is not able to exit the cell. Well, what organelle do you think is most involved with this problem? And then you need to go back and say, okay, well, do I know my organelles really well and their function? Well, what happens if I don't have one of them? Or what happens if this one isn't working properly? So these questions are requiring students to go a little bit out of the box and not just simply spit out information. And these are the skills that we're going to be working on. Because this year is, of course, structured a little bit differently, and I only get to meet with them twice a week. We want to make sure we maximize our time as best as we can. So the things that they're doing in class is the things they really need help with, right? The deeper levels of learning. And so the way that I've kind of flipped or restructured this class is for homework, their job is going to be to listen to me. I'm going to be making recordings of my lectures. For every unit, for every set of chapters that we do, I'm going to record myself. I'm going to post videos of myself going over the PowerPoint notes to give them an introduction to the content. I'm going to be assigning them a packet called a guided reading for every single chapter. And that guided reading is going to be a list of some comprehensive questions where they're going to have to go through the textbook. They have to answer them thoroughly. And then they have to do that before really coming to class and learning it with me. So that's going to help build some independent skills for them. And in the beginning, it's a little bit hard. They're not used to having to, learn on their own. But they're going to learn to build those skills on their own. They're going to come to class and we're going to dive in together. We're going to break it down. We're going to say, okay, what did we understand? What did we feel comfortable with? What did you read or listen to? And you have no idea what I was talking about, or you have no idea what the textbook was saying. Then we're going to come to class. I'm going to go over it with you guys. But they need to do that first step first on their own, to reach out, find the information, write it down, listen to the videos. But then we come to class and we say, okay, well, we studied about molecules. You read about it in the textbook. You watched it in the videos. Let's build these molecules. What are they made of? How do they work? That's actually what we've been doing the past 2 weeks as we finish up Unit 1, which is on biochemistry. So they've been looking at molecules like glucose and other carbohydrates and proteins and DNA and fats, and looking at these molecules that make up cells and living things. And we're learning how they work. We're learning how they're built. We're learning how your body uses them together, similarities, differences, so looking and trying to observe patterns in them. And I just wanted to show you an example of just one thing we've been learning. Let's see if this works. Okay. Oh, and first I figured if you can't be at school right now, you might as well see what our classroom looks like. I should have probably erased the board or kept something more AP Bio. This is actually my 9th grade homework. But this is our classroom that we meet in. It's in 111 on the ground floor. And one thing I wanted to show you is last week, as we were kind of synthesizing what they learned about organic molecules, is I actually brought some supplies. And I should say first that we've also had to readjust how we do labs and activities. Of course, always, adhering to safety protocol, making sure that any supplies or material they're using has either been untouched or has been sanitized. So of course, everything they're working with was not shared. Everything was theirs. They got to put their molecules together to take the picture together to show how these molecules are reacting. But everything that they did was, of course, done on their own. I've just included some snapshots of some of the work they did where they actually had to build glucose. And these girls learned about glucose as an example of a sugar molecule, but then we learned about how your body builds them up. So when they need to build molecules to make them bigger, or when they need to break them down, like in digestion, where your digestive system is going to be breaking down molecules into smaller pieces. So we talked about these reactions, but then they had to build the molecules. So we said, okay, well, the molecular formula for glucose is C6H12O6. How do you build that? How many atoms do you need? Where are the bonds going to go? So making these molecules on their own really forced them to think about how much do they really know about what glucose is. And then they put them together to show me how a dehydration reaction is, which is what builds molecules, how it works, where the bond goes. They showed me how they break apart. And these kinds of work that they do, I'm going to try to take pictures of them and put them on the website so you can see them also. If your daughter's work is not here, I have your daughter's work and they'll also be on the website. So please check it out to see, especially if your daughter isn't posted here. But this is just a snapshot of our year. We are covering a wide variety of topics this year, pretty much what an introduction to biology course in college is. Any information, any questions that you have, I hope that you'll always feel free to reach out to me. Again, we've had a great start to the year, and I look forward to this year with your girls, helping them grow, helping them to be a little bit uncomfortable in their learning so they can really stretch their brains. That's what I want them to do, to learn how to think independently, to be ready for college, and to be ready to go to that next level. So thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm sorry we are above 5 minutes. I hope that's okay. But I look forward to hearing from all of you and speaking with you soon. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.